there, Mandolin Land. Mike Heading here. Just got a little free mandolin lesson for you today. We're going to work on a gospel-style mandolin kickoff. So bluegrass music and gospel music have always been really closely related. And a lot of times in these gospel songs, they would do what's called a turnaround. So instead of doing a full solo, they might do like a quick little G, D, G, turnaround as the solo section, or a lot of times as the intro to the song. So this is very common in gospel music. So I'm going to show you two kickoffs you can do. One for a faster song like a I Saw the Light or an I'll Fly Away or something like that. And one for a slower gospel song like I Am a Pilgrim or something like that. So we're going to work out of the same positions, and I'm just going to show you again how to do a faster version and how to do a slower version. I'm also going to show you how to move this lick around. It's a movable lick played out of our bluegrass chop chord. Once we get that down, we can move it to whatever key we want. We can move it all over the neck. So this lesson is going to be pretty good in getting you familiar with a chord position lick that you can move all over the neck. You can also, use these ideas in non-gospel related music as well. Gospel music has a long history in bluegrass, and again, these kickoffs are really common. Check out Bill Monroe would do these a lot. The Johnson Mountain Boys were another band that would use these gospel kickoffs a lot. They're a great old bluegrass band, so you should check them out. All right, here's the gospel mandolin kickoff. All right, let's start breaking down this gospel style mandolin kickoff lesson. First, let's get down the position. I think if we get the position down, the lick will make a lot more sense, because then we're just playing out of a position that you're already familiar with. Okay, so we're going to start with our 2-finger G chord up here. So I've got my first finger on the 2nd fret of the A string, my 2nd finger on the 3rd fret of the high E string. So that's the shape we're going to use. And then the only difference is sometimes we're going to add our 3rd finger and take off our 2nd finger. So the notes we want to hear are going to be on the highest string, the E string. So I'll show you the position. So we start with this 2-finger G chord. Then we slide our first finger up 1 fret, and then we let our 3rd finger take over on the 5th fret. So it's kind of like this major chord or this minor chord if you've done G minor. So those are the two shapes we're doing, major and minor. And we're just using some harmonies here. So when we walk up to the 3rd fret with our first finger, put our 3rd finger on the 5th fret. And then we're going to go up 1 more fret and keep that same shape, so 4 and 6. And then go up 1 more fret and keep that same shape, 5 and 7. And then we go back down to our regular shape and let our 2nd finger take back over. So basically your first finger stays down, and the only thing that's shifting is you're either playing it with your 2nd finger or your 3rd finger. And again, the notes that we want to hear are on the highest string, so if we play them, that's basically the essence of the lick. We're just harmonizing with a lower note so we get some more interesting harmonies. And you could play the notes one at a time. That's almost like a yodel, like Doc Watson style yodel lick. That's what we're doing there, and you can practice them with down and ups too. So just get familiar with this position. Basically, again, your first finger is kind of your anchor. The other thing you can do is use a slide, right? So that's the position we're using. So just get familiar with those shapes. Okay, so then our lick, we're going to start it up with just some pickup notes. So instead of playing both strings, I just did the E string to start it, because that'll help the first part of the melody pop out a little bit. So we're going to play a down, up, down, starting on beat 2. So 2 and 3, 4. And then we're going to walk up into this position. So you use that quarter note on beat 4, so 1. And then I'm going to slide up, and I'm going to do 8th notes. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So we have 1. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. And again, don't be too worried if you just hit the high string or you get both. It'd be good practice to get both. You want to make sure you're not overly hitting the low string, so our melody's on the high string. So if you're going to miss one of the two, make sure you're getting plenty of the E string. So you have, and again, I'm using that slide. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and the rhythm you do there also isn't very important. So you could do, or you know, you can make up some different rhythms, 1, 2 and 3, or all down ups, or just downs. You know, you can really get from, you know, you could make that part your own. You know, basically, again, we just want to get up there. I find it's nice to do a little picking at the beginning, because that kind of smooths out the transition. And then on measure 3, so this, we play that 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and then we're just going to do a little walk down. So I'm going to play the notes. So I go down to 4 and 6, and I'm going to play both the notes at the same time, and then play just the higher of the two, and then move that down, and then back down to G. So what we want to hear is, and that just helps that little walk down pop out. So let's do that a few times. So we have, the other thing I would do with this lesson is probably play closer up here. You probably, it's going to be a little harsh sounding back here. With these gospel style kickoffs, I think playing with really light touch is good. And playing, again, I might even play up here in like the, what is that, 15th, 17th fret region. And I'm playing with really light touch. So again, you could play with the timing of it. You could do it longer or shorter, but that kind of one measure gospel style turnaround, G, D, G. So on a faster song like I Saw the Light or something like that, or I'll Fly Away, this would be a nice little kickoff. And then at the end, again, I'm staying in this 2-finger G chord, doing a little picking. And then at some point I'll put my 3rd finger and pinky on and go into my chop. So you have, and that's again why you're working out of these shapes. So then when I walk it back down, and now I'm right there to go back into my chop chord. So you have, and then that's ideally where someone would start singing. So practice that, okay? So that's the positions we want to get familiar with. Okay, now let's break down kind of a slower kickoff using those same positions, and then I'll show you how to move it around to play it in different keys. So another one you could do is walking from even a little bit lower. We're going to start down in this chop chord, and we're going to go. So we're going to start on this low 5th fret on the D string on beat 1, and then go 2 and 2, 5 on the A string, and then 3rd fret, and then 5th fret. So it basically ends the same way as the faster kickoff. We're just starting it from down low. Maybe you were already chopping, and then you can go, and then we're going to slide that same position up. But I'm going to do tremolo this time, so 30-second notes. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, get farther up here and keep your arm really relaxed, and that'll take some practice. It's easy to kind of go into death grip when you do tremolo. You want to make sure I'm not gripping the pick too tight. You can see if I start gripping the pick really tight, your arm is going to tense up, or my arm's going to tense up, and probably yours will too. So keep the pick really loose. Remember, the tremolo doesn't come with your arm, it comes from your wrist. You can check out another lesson I did called Tremolo Basics if you want to check that out on how I do this technique. But basically we're going to slide up. This would be on a slower song, like I Am a Pilgrim or something like that, where it's, so we'd go 2, So we walk up, we do that tremolo, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then on beat 1, we're gonna slide that position down, play this double stop, do a down up, and then walk it back up, and then back down. So we're not using that little chromatic 4, 6 on this one. You could do that, but basically we're going. Again, the melody's on the higher string, so it's. So just think in terms of the melody. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. And then we're back down to this G, and then we're just going to do a little ending lick this time. So not too hard. We hit that G chord, the 2-finger G, and then do down, up, down on the 3rd fret, open E string, 5, 2 on the A, and then down. And there's a bunch of ways you could get down. We just want to get down from this. We're going to get from this high G to this low G, and then get into our chop. So we have. So let's do that again. And what I would do is count it out loud, especially when you're practicing with the tremolo. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. What I would do with the tremolo as well is think of your ending, you know. So you obviously want to get the tremolo as even as possible, but think of your ending, which is on beat 1 of the next measure. So if you get to that note, you know, if you get, that's your target after you get up there. So again, you want to get that as even as possible, but if you waver a little bit, again, think of where you're going. If you end correctly, I think it'll help smooth that out. And then as you get your tremolo cleaner and more consistent, you can improve that over time. Because I think it's easy to slide up there and then just kind of forget how long you need to be up there for, and then you miss the next part, you know. So again, think of where you're going with your tremolo. So and just get familiar with those positions, like I said. And don't worry too much, again, if you're doing all downs or down ups. You know, you might want to do those with just down strokes to help bring that out, or you might want to do it with down ups. That'll be up to you, and again, how slow the song is. Sometimes on a slower song, I might play all the middle notes with just down strokes. You know, even though even though I would normally do that with a down up, again, on a really slow song, I might play those all as downs to help pop those notes out a little bit. But that's where you can just experiment. Okay, so again, we're using that same position on a fast song or on a slow song. Okay, so now let's talk lastly about moving it around. So again, we're playing out of this chop chord. So first, let's just move it up this way. So this would be now, and again, you don't even have to know what key it is right off the bat. Think of your positions, and I'll tell you the keys, but this would be a C. So we would basically be doing that same thing on a lower string, and so it would sound like this. So again, I'm using the exact same fingerings and shapes and right hand. All I did is move my hand to the middle strings. And to do the slower version, it'd be. So that's why it's so important to use the same fingers, because now all my licks feel the same, and all I really had to do was move to a different string. Again, so let's go back to the higher string, so back down. If we moved it up, let's move it up 2 frets. That'd be like an A, so we could go. Just get familiar with the positions, because you can eventually make up your own licks again using these same ideas. So and And what's so great about this, you don't even have to know what key it is. Let's say you do it in a weird key like A flat, like Bill Monroe or Johnson Mountain Boys would do gospel songs in A flat, which sounded great. But then you can use the same position. You know, it's so much easier to play when I'm thinking out of this shape, rather than if I said play a gospel kickoff in A flat, you might, you know, it'd be easy to kind of freeze up and say, well, I don't know how to do it in A flat. But if you use your shapes, then again, you don't even have to know what key it is. Your root notes is your second finger, right, in your 2-finger G chord. You can just move that around until you find one that sounds good. Oh, okay, that's B flat. That's why these movable closed chord licks are so great. You don't even have to know what key it is. Like I said, you know, you can just move it around. Or E. Bill Monroe would do these kickoffs a lot in E, so you might do something like. Again, I'm just working out of this shape. So it's either this shape or that move. So again, right here. So that's B. So you can move these around wherever. And again, I would think of doing a faster version and then like a slower version. So hopefully that gives you a little something to try. Think of it in terms of the positions. It's going to be way easier to remember. Get it, maybe work on it in G first, and then you can practice it later, moving it around to other keys. All right, hopefully that helps you out. All right, good luck.